The jungle pulsed with heat, shadows moving like predators of their own, each leaf sharp as razors and roots wound like serpents through the thick floor. Kar's breath steamed in the air, golden eyes scanning through dense overgrowth. Muscles rippled beneath obsidian fur as it crept low, its elongated tail silent behind it. The scent trail was fresh, sweat, fear, defiance. The rival had trespassed into its domain, a sin punishable by blood. Kar did not growl or roar. It didn't need to. Apex hunters knew patience, and it was the deadliest among them. The prey was fast, nimble, a thorn beast with 6 legs and eyes that blinked in all directions. It had been stupid enough to challenge a territory marked by Kar's claw strikes carved deep into rock. The chase was not just necessity, it was ritual, dominance reaffirmed with each drop of blood. It launched forward with a burst of raw speed, every step precise, fluid, confident. Trees blurred past, and the air turned electric with motion. Then the ground shifted. No warning. One stride, then pain. An explosion of heat shot through Kar's legs as the forest floor shattered in brilliant arcs of blue light. The trap was invisible until sprung. Gravity reversed for half a second, then snapped back, dragging the beast downward into a shallow pit lined with glimmering metallic rods that pulsed with an unnatural hum. One limb bent too far, claws scraped stone, and a sickening crack echoed beneath its growl. It writhed, snarling, dragging itself free from the edge of the pit, limbs quivering under its own weight. Blood trickled from a torn pad on its front paw. The rival beast was long gone, and all that remained was searing agony and rising vulnerability. It stumbled into the underbrush, away from the alien structure buried in soil, away from shame. Something man-made. It hadn't seen it. Not in time. Each breath became a curse. Instinct screamed to run, but instinct was muted now by the reality of torn muscle and fractured bone. Predators like Rukar didn't stop, they stalked, killed, thrived. But now, every step was a reminder, it could die. Smaller scavengers began to stir. Winged lizards circled above, silent. Glowing worms coiled in shadows, scenting blood. Even the plants seemed to lean in, sensing weakness. It dragged itself toward a cave it had once marked but never used. Its body left a crimson trail in the underbrush. Each heartbeat was heavier than the last, more distant. Inside the cave, the darkness wrapped it like a cocoon, cool and cruel. It curled in on itself, chest heaving, breast sharp and ragged. The wound was worse than it admitted. The front paw was mangled, and the hind leg, possibly dislocated. It licked the wound out of reflex, tasting its own blood, bitter and hot. But healing wasn't coming fast this time. The trap had done more than tear flesh. It had shaken its confidence, something more sacred than strength. For the first time in years, maybe longer, Kar felt something worse than pain. It felt uncertainty. Outside, the jungle grew louder. Creatures crept closer. They smelled blood and defeat. A lesser predator might have panicked. But Kar remained still, watching, listening, calculating. Fear was not an emotion it embraced. But this wasn't fear, it was acknowledgement. Apex status had limits. Time blurred. The jungle didn't care about its pain, nor did it slow. Clouds drifted like bruises across the sky. Insects buzzed in dizzy spirals, mocking. It closed its eyes, muscles tight, and let the agony crawl across its nerves like fire ants. The trap had been too clever for a beast like it. That meant humans. They had returned to the jungle. They brought strange tools and invisible snares, and they moved like they owned the land. Kar had ignored them, considering them prey, watchers, prey again. Now, lying crippled in a cave, it realized how deeply it had misjudged them. It shifted, growling under its breath, and looked out into the swaying green haze. There were no footsteps yet. No scent of metal or fire. But it wouldn't be long. Humans didn't set traps by accident. Kar curled its tail around its injured limbs and pressed its jaw against the dirt floor. The world continued outside, but for the first time in memory, it wasn't a part of it. The hunter had become something else. And the shame of it sat deeper than the pain ever could. Let me know if you'd like to move on to Section 2 now, F, or want A, summary of character progression F. The jungle's rhythm shifted, no longer predatory but cautious. Car lay motionless, its injured limb pulsing beneath thick muscle. The wound had worsened. Infection brewed where dried blood clung, attracting scavenger flies. The jungle hadn't claimed it yet, but it was watching. Hunger clawed at its gut. It hadn't eaten in 2 days. Each breath was a gamble between conserving energy and suppressing the growl of pain that rose from its chest. Then came the scent, faint, alien, impossible to miss. Not predator, not prey. Something different. Warm, sterile, oddly sweet. Human. It stiffened. Muscles strained against its own injuries as it pulled its head up. The sound of light steps brushing through leaves approached. They were too even to be hunted, too relaxed to be stealthy. A shape emerged in the periphery, soft outline, no armor, no weapons drawn. Just the unmistakable silhouette of a human figure. The face was obscured by a sun hood and dark visor, technology woven into the fabric. No scent of aggression, no spike in posture. Calm. The girl halted outside the cave's mouth. She didn't speak at first, simply knelt and placed something carefully on the ground. A transparent canister rolled gently to a stop, clear liquid with suspended particles shimmering faintly. It hissed open, releasing a mist that drifted across the earth like breath. Antiseptic nanites. You look like you've hurt your paws, she said softly, her voice more amused than afraid. Car bared its teeth, a low sound rumbling through the cave. She made no move to run. Instead, she placed another object near the edge, a sealed nutrient block. High calorie, scentless to prey animals but rich enough to sustain something his size for a day. She backed away slowly, never turning her back, hands raised not in fear but in tension. Palms empty. Transparent. Didn't think anyone else was using this side of the ridge, she added. Sorry about the trap. Wasn't for you. She disappeared into the trees without another word. Car didn't move until the scent had faded. Even then, he dragged himself forward only slightly, nostrils twitching. No poison. No chemical traps. He touched the nutrient block with his snout, then bit down. The taste was strange, artificial, but his body accepted it with silent gratitude. Night passed. The wound felt cleaner. It still throbbed, but the swelling had lessened. When morning light returned, so did she. Again, she brought mist and blocks. Again, she said little. This time, she sat 10 paces away, humming. A soft rhythm, tuneless but consistent. Car watched her. No sudden moves. No attempt to approach. Just the hum and the occasional murmur. You've got some fight in you, she said on the 3rd day. Stupid maybe, but strong. The line between confusion and curiosity began to blur. She wasn't acting like prey. She wasn't trying to dominate or escape. She existed beside him, doing things no creature had ever done without asking anything in return. It unsettled him. By the 5th day, she was placing the mist canister a foot closer. He didn't snarl this time. She still didn't touch. Just sat, fixed a small calm's beacon, and spoke to no one in particular. Her calm broke briefly when a shadow moved across the tree line. She reached for her belt, eyes scanning the jungle, but relaxed when it passed. You're lucky, she muttered. Out here alone with a leg like that, most things don't last a night. He tilted his head. Her voice lacked fear, but there was something underneath. Familiarity. She'd been alone before too. She understood weakness not with pity but recognition. Car didn't know how to process the lack of expectation. No creature had ever offered help without demanding submission, loyalty, or something worse. Yet here she was. Same time each day. Feeding. Healing. Watching. Talking. On the 7th day, she knelt lower, letting the mist drift from her hand instead of the ground. He didn't recoil. She placed the food nearer, almost within reach. Then sat. Quiet. The silence between them grew heavier, not threatening, but charged with meaning. I don't think you're stupid, she said finally. Just hurt. That's different. Then she stood, turned, and walked away again. Car stared at the food, then the exit, then back at the now familiar shape retreating into green. This wasn't prey. It wasn't predator. It was something else entirely. Let me know when you're ready to continue with Section 3F, or if you'd like a character analysis of Car so far F. The scent of rot drifted in before the danger arrived. Car's ears twitched, nostrils flaring. It wasn't human. The air thickened with the musk of a larger predator, one that stalked the wounded, the forgotten, the dying. Car tried to rise. Pain flared along the joint of its healing leg. Strength wasn't ready. Movement would mean collapse. So it lay still, eyes narrowed, body pressed against stone, calculating. The girl returned at the same hour she always did. She didn't sense it at first. Her steps remained calm, routine, the way they always were. Then the stillness registered. No birds. No insect calls. Her hand hovered near her side pouch. The trees rustled wrong. She froze. It came fast. A razor-beaked Goliath burst from the canopy with talons drawn wide and a screech that cracked the air. Not hunting, claiming. Her back hit the ground. Car launched himself upright, ignoring the burst of pain as he roared, a primal thunder that cracked branches. He tried to charge, but his injured paw gave way, collapsing him sideways. The girl didn't scream. She was already moving, hand drawn to a small device she rarely touched. From her pack, a smooth disc flicked forward and hit the ground with a thud. Blue arcs flashed out like spider legs. The predator shrieked and pulled back, but too late. The disc pulsed. A second flash. The air hummed with ionized heat. The beak thing jerked mid-flight, then dropped like a broken puppet, limbs seizing once before going limp. Silence returned. The girl stood, dusted herself off, eyes fixed on Car. I warned you. Should have stayed hidden. She approached with measured steps. The field emitter on the ground still glowed, arcs fading. She picked it up, brushed off soil, clipped it back to her belt. No gloating. No panic. Just calm efficiency. Car stared. This wasn't prey. It wasn't weakness dressed in kindness. She had neutralized the threat in seconds without trembling. The jungle hadn't made her cautious, it had taught her control. He didn't bare his teeth. He watched her as she knelt beside him. Her fingers didn't touch his fur but hovered just above his flank. You're bleeding again. She pulled another mist canister from her pack and sprayed across the torn muscle. The relief was immediate, dull pain turned warm, manageable. She sat cross-legged beside him and didn't speak again for some time. That night, he didn't retreat to the back of the cave. He lay near the edge, head turned toward where she'd sat, ears tuned to every sound. His muscles still trembled when he stood, but his posture was straighter now. No longer survival, something closer to purpose. The next day she came without the hood. Her face remained partly obscured by her visor, but the voice was clearer. She worked silently, patching a long tear in her jacket with thin carbon thread. Car circled once before laying down across from her. The distance had narrowed without discussion. You think I'm strong? She asked suddenly, not looking up. I'm not. I just know what happens if I'm not prepared. She glanced at him. They always think humans are fragile. Soft. Until they aren't. Car blinked slowly. There was no challenge in her voice, no need for validation. Just fact. Over the next days, the space between them closed further. She began placing the food directly before his paws. He accepted it without threat. Her presence became routine, expected. She told short stories, half anecdotes, half survival tips. She laughed once when he snorted at a bitter supplement bar. The sound echoed oddly in the clearing. She showed him how to fix a cracked filter. He watched, eyes narrowing, head tilting slightly as her fingers manipulated parts faster than he could track. Her hands never hesitated. Her breath never quickened. The jungle may have belonged to creatures like him in theory, but in practice, it bent around people like her. The respect didn't come in a moment. It grew quietly, unnoticed, until it became the new reality. She was not prey. She was not a rival. She was not a caretaker. She was something different, something not categorized by tooth or claw or scent. She existed outside the hierarchy. The jungle watched but didn't interfere. Car now lay near her without defense raised. Not submission. Not fear. Just trust earned one silent gesture at a time. Let me know when you're ready for Section 4F, or if you want a deeper breakdown of their dynamic shift, F. The clouds broke open in the late cycle, rain falling with dense rhythm, soaking foliage and coating the world in scent. Car moved fluidly now, his steps steadier, no longer dragging. The limp had faded, strength rebuilt through stillness, nourishment, and absence of fear. The wound no longer dictated his movements. His instincts remained intact but now contoured by calculation, not impulse. He no longer saw shadows as threats. Something had shifted, more internal than physical. He could hunt again, fight again, but didn't. Not yet. The girl returned, soaked but undeterred, a faint smile tucked beneath the edge of her visor. Her gear clung to her like another skin, movements efficient despite the weather. She moved like someone used to burden. She set her supplies down, then crouched beside a device she hadn't brought before, a small tablet, holographic interface flickering to life under her fingers. "They're moving closer," she muttered, mostly to herself. He didn't move, but his gaze sharpened. Her voice was different. Tension threaded each word, not fear but focus. She expanded the display. Dots blinked red along a topographical scan. She traced their path. Scouting unit. 2 drones. Probably more behind. They sweep for anomalies. Power signals. Movement signatures. They'll find this cave within a day. He exhaled heavily, nostrils flaring. His kind had always treated humans as unpredictable variables, dangerous in numbers, clumsy alone. But she had defied that equation. She hadn't run. She hadn't flinched. Yet now, for the first time, she hesitated. Her hand hovered above the display. "They won't just tag you," she said quietly. "They'll put you down. Threat classification. Biometric markers are too aggressive." She looked at him then, visor tilted upward just enough for the glint of her eyes to meet his. Not pity. Not sadness. A hard truth offered plainly. He didn't snarl. He understood. The trap wasn't an accident. It had been one part of a wider net. She hadn't admitted it before, but he saw it now in the way she packed faster, her posture tighter, voice lower. She had gone off-grid. Her presence in this region wasn't sanctioned. Helping him had risked exposure. She wasn't just surviving, she was evading. And now she was being found. She folded the interface and clipped it back into her pack. Rain kept falling, but she didn't rush. She reached for her pouch and took out the final nutrient block. This one she didn't place in front of him. She held it out, arm extended, fingers steady. His eyes flicked from her hand to her face. Then he stepped forward and took it gently from her grasp, fangs brushing the edge of her glove. No tension. No resistance. Acceptance. Her expression didn't change, but something passed between them. An understanding not based in language or instinct. Mutual decision. "They'll be here by morning," she said. "You need to be gone." He didn't react. "I'll draw them off. Remote charge. Noise, energy burst, few kilometers east. If they think it's tech salvage, they'll reroute." She turned to leave but paused halfway, glancing back over her shoulder. "Don't follow me. You'll only slow down again." Then she vanished into the rain. He stood for a long time after she was gone. The jungle hissed under water and movement, every sound amplified. But he listened beyond the noise. Then he turned, not east, not toward her path, but deeper into the territory he had once claimed, now unknown. By midnight, the first pulse detonated in the distance. Red light flared through clouds. The jungle shifted in response. Mechanical drones zipped overhead, veering toward the flare. Static bled into the air. The bait had been taken. She had risked pursuit. revealed position. Not for profit. Not for power. Only so a wounded creature could walk again. He moved with new resolve. Not hunted. Not hiding. Not broken. The girl had not fought for dominance. She had offered freedom. And now he understood it was not survival she had been giving all this time. It was choice. Let me know when you're ready for Section 5, F, or if you'd like a summary of the turning point in this Section F. The trail she left behind was precise. Measured steps, angled misdirection, thermal dampeners scattering her path across roots and stone. It was the pattern of someone who knew how to vanish without leaving silence. But she hadn't accounted for him following at full strength. Carr knew the terrain better, could read the breaks in dew and disrupted moss. Her intent had been clear, but he was no longer a creature that obeyed instinct. He had learned something far more dangerous to predict: intention. By the time he caught up, she was surrounded. 3 scouts had emerged from the ridge, each armored in sleek plating, faceless helmets blinking with synchronized signals. Drones flanked them, spinning in sharp orbit. She stood with her back to a ridge, empty hands raised, pulse calm despite the readouts dancing across her visor. Her field emitter was powered but holstered, not active. The message was clear: she wasn't resisting yet. They didn't speak. Authority didn't need conversation. 1 step forward, scanner held out, already compiling biometric data. Her voice, when it came, was even. I'm not carrying offensive payloads. Only environmental tech and med gear. You're violating neutrality protocols. The nearest figure tilted its head, nonverbal cue translated into dismissal. Another step forward. A red beam traced her outline. Then came the growl, low, deep, resonating through wet earth and canopy. The jungle responded with silence. Carr emerged with deliberate slowness, towering beside her, gaze fixed not on the girl but on the soldiers. His fur dripped with rain, scars visible beneath. He made no move to attack, but his presence shifted the dynamic. The drones jerked upward, scanning. Weapons angled. Target acquisition protocols blinked. The scout nearest her recalibrated his stance, trying to assess whether this was a last line of defense or a coordinated threat. Carr didn't care for their confusion. He wasn't a symbol. He was a decision. She turned her head slightly toward him, unreadable behind the glass, but her stance relaxed a fraction. She understood what his arrival meant. The lead soldier raised the device, finger tightening near the trigger. Carr stepped forward. No charge, just presence. It was enough. The device lowered. The girl broke the tension. Her hand moved slowly, drawing a small data rod from her sleeve. She dropped it in the mud. Everything I've recorded. Terrain, weather, species data. Take it. That's all I've been gathering. The second soldier retrieved it, scanned it, paused. The readouts showed no anomalies. No smuggling, no subversion. Just cataloged life, everything but the part that couldn't be stored in files. Trust. Loyalty. Sentience. The officer nodded to the others. The drones pulled back. No formal words, no judgment, just a shift in posture, observation concluded. They turned and disappeared into the green. When they were gone, the girl finally exhaled. Her knees buckled slightly, not from fear, but from the release of weight she hadn't let show. Carr remained motionless, watching her rather than the jungle. You weren't supposed to be here, she said quietly. He didn't move. I told you not to follow. Still, he stood. A long silence followed, broken only by the sound of rain softening to mist. She finally sat on a fallen trunk, soaked and exhausted but no longer hiding it. You changed the outcome, she said. You didn't fight. You just made them think. It wasn't a compliment. It was a fact. A statement of evolved strategy, not brute force. It was the one thing her species respected more than strength, restraint. He lowered himself beside her, limbs folded neatly, head angled toward hers. The bond wasn't built from taming or debt. It had grown from mutual action, each stepping into the line for the other without command or demand. What are you going to do now? She asked. He blinked slowly. You could disappear again. Stay wild. Pretend this never happened. He remained still. I'm heading west, she added. Research colony in the Cloud Ridge. Fewer patrols, less surveillance. They accept outliers. He stood. The meaning didn't need translation. They moved together, silent, deliberate, side by side, not as predator and human, not as fugitive and savior, but as two survivors who had redefined the rules of the jungle. Not because they had to. Because they chose to. Let me know if you'd like a summary of the complete arc, F, or want to explore an alternate ending, F.